Warning, this video contains massive spoilers for the One Piece manga. Elbaph has not been adapted into the anime at the time of this recording. This video is also very obviously unscripted. Usopp, my goat, one of the best characters in the entirety of Peace. I think that's its name. But the name doesn't matter. But what does matter is the fact that Elbaph is gonna be Usopp's arc. And some people will doubt that, because he hasn't done much currently. But what if I said that is the point? Or is it? Well, I don't know, let's figure it out. Usopp is easily the most controversial Straw Hat that isn't Luffy, Zoro, or Sanji. The main criticism obviously being that Usopp has not done much since basically saving everyone on Dressrosa 10 years ago. And this is leading to people saying ridiculous things, like Usopp is regressing, Usopp fell off, or Usopp is a bum. And I'm gonna say, aside from the regressing part, they're basically right. Because as we all know, at least I hope you all know, please, Usopp is a character that, despite his very clear moments and abilities, thinks of himself as a bum, and therefore is a bum. Because of his internal self-hatred and self-doubt. He keeps going in circles. He's like, no, I can't do this. He's like, no, I can't do that. He's scared because everything in the world just scares him. Every time he tries to do something brave, when he does do that brave thing, it's impactful to the story and his character development. Now, earlier, I disagreed with the opinion that Usopp has regressed in any sort of way. And that's not a widely agreed upon take, actually. It's just something I saw once and it kind of irked me, so I felt like mentioning it. But how did Usopp not regress? Well, the person who I saw the take from posted about it. And the moment they were referring to was this moment in Wano. Usopp asking Nami, at least in his mind, to lie to Ulti for her own safety. To lie and say that Luffy's dream of becoming king of the pirates will not come true and that Kaido will be the king of the pirates instead. As Ulti asked, of course. The reason why this is seen as character regression is because, let me check my notes real quick. Because the original poster thought that Usopp would have done what he was thinking that Nami should have done for her own safety. Saying that this is a contradiction of what Usopp did in Alabasta, saying that Luffy will be the one who will be king of the pirates and laughing at his friend's dream is, well, bad. Now I see this as a critical misunderstanding of this entire scene in general. Because in this situation, Usopp is, first of all, too tired to even get up, so he couldn't really do anything. But also, Usopp telling Nami what she should do internally does not equate to what Usopp actually would have done himself, because that's not implied through the dialogue at all. This argument relies on a bad faith assumption of Usopp's character in Wano that just isn't there. And in fact, if we were going to approach this in good faith, we should take Usopp's Alabasta moment as straight up evidence that Usopp would do the same thing. It's clear that Usopp just doesn't want to see his friend killed, which is entirely normal? Like, this whole argument just falls apart the moment when you add, like, the actual context of what Usopp was very clearly thinking when you read it. Now with that little tangent out of the way, it's time for another shorter tangent before we actually move on to the stuff I want to talk about. Don't compare Elbaph Usopp to Frankie from Egghead. Because first of all, Egghead was never going to be Frankie's arc. That was just how you expected it to go. It is not Oda's fault that he did not live up to your expectations. That was just never going to happen anyways. Frankie's dream is in no way really connected to Vegapunk at all. Vegapunk just so happens to be a big inspiration for him and he's a massive fan. And yeah, that's basically his whole role in the arc in terms of character. And also, like, Frankie was an MVP in that arc. He did so much cool stuff, let's be for real. Saying Usopp will get nothing for something that's supposed to be apparently his arc, just like Frankie with Egghead, is just a false equivalence. Because that was never going to happen. And now, we're going on to what's happened in the arc so far for Usopp and why I think it's actually really cool for his character right now. Literally the moment Usopp makes it to the real Elbaph, he starts crying. And Oda gives us a flashback to when Usopp literally says to Luffy, I'm gonna make it to Elbaph someday, and also become a brave warrior of the sea, I think. Let me check. Okay, so by that we can already tell that Usopp is being set up for something. But we also notice that when Usopp gets to Elbaph, we start to see some pretty negative traits on his end. Nothing incredibly egregious so far, but they are not the best traits. Like, for example, getting drunk and also not really doing anything. But like this time it feels like it's like a purposeful narrative tool right here. Like, for example, where Usopp's like, this is the Elbaph I know and love, and then Nami's, telling him to, like, actually do something. Right now in the manga, as I'm currently recording, the group that Usopp's in is literally named after Usopp's group, which is, again, more evidence, I'd say. And when we're introduced to this Usopp's group, Usopp's like, yeah, my mental powers did that. His shtick of, lying about doing something really impressive. So very clearly, at the moment, there seems to be a narrative going on for Usopp that is being developed. And we really have to wait, because, patience is key. In other words, you have 10 chapters, like this video over here that you should watch. And I don't agree with everything said here, but cool video, not enough views, and also the title and thumbnail's really funny. The thing that made me want to make this video is when thinking about Elbaph, and I thought about this one line where Usopp said, how can you bear turning to something with no sense of pride? It's a line that has quite a few nuances to it. Like, for example, tying into Usopp's character struggle, which is the fact that he most definitely has imposter syndrome, and I don't really think that's really up for debate. This line is both about how it's, very pathetic and shameful that Dorian Broggy would just turn evil like this, even if it is magic. But also, it is probably self-deprecation on Usopp's end. Now, maybe that's just my interpretation, maybe that's not how Oda is setting this up, but also maybe it is. I mean, I think Oda is a very good writer when it comes to foreshadowing and especially character writing. So you can't really blame me for thinking this is possibly set up for Usopp's arc, which even then, even without this line, it's still happening. Now, I could in the video here and leave it at like nice little 7 minutes, 8 minutes or something of analysis. But I actually want to get into the most important aspect of this whole thing, Elbaph's themes, and why I think they are integral to Usopp and his character so far. Elbaph is a pretty rich arc, thematically speaking, I'd say, but the one that's most prevalent is, do not let fear control and manipulate you and the people you love. The people above you will fearmonger, turn you into a bad guy, literally or as propaganda in order to keep you and the people you love subjugated below them. This is what the nightmare monsters in Domi Reversi are meant to represent in the story. The government using people's fears and turning the people of Elbaph against each other to make them lose all hope in their future. The solution to this is to persist through it. Realize who these people are and fight, which leads us to the latest chapter at the time of writing this. Chapter 1177. Why is this moment so good? Dare I say the best Usopp moment in a while? Because of everything before it which I talked about. After seeing the peaceful Elbaph, borderline cowardly, unwilling to fight, seeing the disappointment, then everything quickly fall apart in front of him. Seeing his two heroes fall into darkness, literally. It's unbearable to watch. And then, Eldril's speech. He finds his love for Elbaph again, the Elbaph he knows and loves, which in turn influences him to do better, to not run away, to fight, to use everything in his arsenal, just like the great Captain Usopp would. He didn't come to the same conclusion he did in Little Gun like people say. He's not repeating anything. He just found the will to use what he's learned since Little Gun again, even if the threat is impossibly strong. This is his chance. But as always, the biggest threats are going to be dealt with by his captain. And that's why Usopp is great in Elbaph so far, and hopefully will continue to be great for the rest of the arc. Thanks for watching! This video is hopefully out by April 1st, Usopp's birthday. I hope you enjoyed the video. Truly, it's been a blast finally getting a serious long-form One Piece video out. It's been my favorite piece of media for so long, 2 years in fact, so I wanted to release something for it. Something topical with the current arc that will get people talking. These last segments of the video were in fact scripted because I want to finally get out of the habit of being unprepared for when I start talking about topics like this. A lot of you will be seeing this channel for the first time ever, and I just want to say, hello! To give you a brief summarization of this channel, I cover my favorite pieces of media ever, One Piece, Halo, and Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, that'll be what I'm making from now on, at least. If you like those things, subscribe, please. I would very appreciate it. I mean, I would appreciate it a lot. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to continue editing this video. Took so long, and I started this video all the way back in January. So some of this may or may not be a little outdated by the time it comes out on April 1st. Sorry. Oh, and of course, my Discord link is in the description. Please join. Nobody really talks there. So if you'd like to, that would be great. Okay, thanks. See ya!